Hello, so today I'm going to be doing another one in Krita. Sorry, I just plugged my microphone in there. So I'm going to be doing another one made in Krita, Collage art made in Krita. And so what I'm going to be doing, it's going to be another basic one. There's not going to be too much actual cutting. Although I found out now that this one here is the equivalent of the polygonal cutting tool in Photoshop, so that's good. It's because before I was using this one here, which is the freehand selection tool, which is got its version in Photoshop, but it's can be a bit tricky to use. So I prefer the polygonal one, where it doesn't snap, and what I do is I just basically usually with it I will zoom in quite close, very close, and I shall then cut like this, lay it over. So it doesn't curve much, that's why I have to zoom in, and I cut out that way usually, and that can take a little bit of a while, or it can especially if you want to be cautious and save as you go, so you don't lose your work, because sometimes this has happened to me before. I've gone to cut out a lot without saving, make one mistake, and I have to do the whole thing again. So it's tedious, but it's better to just cut a few times to save, cut a few times to save. So this piece is being based on this here. I thought this was a good image to use, based on capitalism. So I'm quite likely going to be putting a dollar sign over his face because he's faceless, or I might just keep him completely faceless, considering what I'm going to be having. Because I was going to have him over a background based on poverty and dollar signs raining from the sky. So maybe putting the dollar on his face is a bit excessive. So those are the dollars that are raining from the sky. They should be easy to separate, because I can it's on a green screen. So this is why this is actually a still from a video element. So that's why it's on the green screen. It's easily removed. And the famine piece, and of course my signature. So I wanted a background of poverty, and this is the best one I could find, because usually they just find like a couple of poor people, but there's not, and so I wanted it to be really overwhelming poverty, and I wanted it to have space for me to put the guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first cut this guy out. So I'm going to see if I can, since it's a very blank image, I'm going to see if I can magic wand it. Still trying to find the actual, trying to find the actual elements on this, because I don't use Krita that often. I'm just using it for the purpose of it being done on the video. So make something more interesting to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a polygonal lasso to get rid of some of this stuff out of the way, because I don't know how it's going to work in the back with a magic wand, with this being a gradient. Certainly won't work with the text, so it's just easier to get rid of it that way. So I'll use a polygonal lasso to do that, and there's a shortcut control of Control and X, and then to get rid of the dotted lines, I just click on the square one and click on it, and it gets rid of it. So let's get the magic wand. It's got rid of that bit, so it's Control and X, get rid of that. Now you have to be careful with using the magic wand, in the fact that sometimes when you getting closer, the edges aren't that great, so sometimes you have to tidy those up a bit. But for something with like a very basic background, and this isn't quite it can cut down a hell of a lot of time. I mean, it's helping out here quite a bit. But sometimes, the jagged edges are exactly what you might want. It depends on what you're trying to do. So I've got rid of a lot of this, very quickly and easily by using this magic wand tool. It's just now these bits are quite small, but what I will do is I will zoom in. See what I mean about the edges around, but I've still saved quite a bit of time. The only other thing I could think of, but since he has these white bits of his shirt, is I could do that, Control and I, and then Control and X, and see how much that gets rid of. And he actually got rid of everything better. I mean, I have now lost the white in the shirt, but that's not a big deal because I'll just get rid of this. These white, I could just colour those back in. So the only thing I don't like in here is the I don't like the colour selection tool. It's not very. I haven't figured out how to get it around to being, you know, like as it was in Photoshop. So, or you can type it in. I've got to play around with it now and look up a bit more about that. So there's his white shirt put back in. That was actually quicker to do it that way, but this shows you how you can do it on the outside. But in this case, the inside is well enough. And again, I will magic wand him and Control and I, so I've got him selected. And with Photoshop, what I was able to do before was I was able to pop this out here and have it hanging off, and then drag it over. I can't really do it with this, so what I'll do is Control and C to copy it, and then go to the image I want to put it in, and Control and V. That's it. Put him in. Now, ordinarily, I would have thought you used this shape symbol in Photoshop to move it, but that's not work. That's not it. Here it's this little cross. I'll move him in. He's a lot bigger this time. So, Control. In fact, I haven't actually. Something I neglected to do was I'll get rid of him. The size of the image here. So, scale image new size. And here it's like they've got it at 72 dpi, but the width is like 67. So what I can do is set the resolution to 300, set the width to say like 25. There, it's a little bigger, but it still looks good. I'll Control and V him back in, and I'll move him in to here. So I'm going to have him here. Now the original idea was I was going to make him be some kind of like a dominating force, but I'm going to make him have him huge, but I'm also to make him fit in bigger and have all this because I thought that guy's interesting as well. What I will do is I will make him smaller, so 8 will fit in, and so he's so even though he's got all this power, he's one tiny little man, tiny little faceless man, but it still has caused all this misery. Now I'm going to see if I can make this a little bigger as well. So what I'm going to try, this may not work. I'll resize the canvas, but I want to have more at the top here. So what I'll do is press down here, press button, arrow down, and I want it to be, say I'll try and make it 20 centimeters high. So I've got 5 centimeters to play with there, and this may not work. But what I'm going to do, so I'm going to kind of stretch at the top there. But this is like a line draw, a kind of very fine line drawing, so it may not work. So what I'm going to do is press Control and T over the selection and try and stretch it a bit. That didn't work because it was on the wrong layer. Got to go to this background layer here. Control and T again. Here we go. Let's see if this will work. I'll get my mouse back. Let's see whether this works. It looks a little weird. Oops. Trouble with Krita is the actual bars here are almost the same colour as the rest of it here, so it doesn't you can't see it as well. It does look strange somewhat. However, we will see how it's going to look once I put the dollar signs in, and it doesn't, since I've taken it to be most of the mountain, it doesn't look too out of place, and the sky here again doesn't look too bad. So let's get here. I'm going to, let's have a look at the size of it. Scaling machine size, to the size. Again, it's done it at 72 dpi instead of 300, because print quality is 300 dots per inch. However, if you got it that big and shrink it down, then I don't know what it would be like on print, but I always like to put it on 300 dots per inch just to be safe. So I've done that again, 300 dots per inch, 25 wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the whole thing, Control and C to put it in Control and V. So got all that down there. Now I'm going to use this magic wand again. Go on the green. And now all I have to do is I have to get rid of the extra bits of green in between. Now what it is, it's glowing green around the edges. Ordinarily that would be quite irksome, and I'd want to get rid of that. However, in this case, I think it works quite well. So this may take a little while. And you imagine how tedious this would be if I was doing it analog with a scalpel. So these are one of the ones that is probably best to be done digitally, or less of a headache to be done digitally. But I do kind of like the glowing green. So that's it's not. I didn't actually originally have that in mind, but it's a happy accident, I think, because it doesn't look right. It does look unnatural, but that's the entire point, I think. As in, this accumulation of mass wealth at the expense of others is unnatural. Or I believe so, anyway. There's nothing wrong with trying to make a good paycheck for yourself and have yourself a very comfortable life, but not at the expense of others, I think. And this is how a few other people think as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, before I cut out and get rid of the rest of those internal ones, I've noticed these two here where the image is cut off and there's dollars, they're that half. So I'll get rid of those because that will just look too weird. You could also argue that the glowing green, as well as green being the symbol for money, it's also that shade of green usually makes you think of something poisonous. That's how I've always seen it, anyway. So, and I've seen this colour to be used in association with poison or toxicity. So we're almost done. I'll have to put the signature on so people know it's mine. would be scrolling a bit more, but just basically zooming in and scrolling more. It's just like I said, that these um, scrolling bars, the grab bars for it, aren't. They need to really could do with being a different color to wildly different color to the um, rest of it, so it shows that it's not it. Um, and also the sun is shining on my computer screen, so it's a little hard to see them. But this is it in now, so I'll just see if I can move along. That's too far. Like I said, these are a little difficult to see the scrolling bars. Sometimes also with the sun being on my screen, it's sometimes difficult to see the mouse as well. Now there's a little line at the bottom there, so I'm going to get rid of that. Now I ordinarily would use the crop tool, but on this it tends to snap to the edge. It's difficult to do it by pixel by pixel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it again. Use change the canvas size. This time I'm going down, and I'll change it. I'll crop it by quarter of a centimetre, so 19.75, and that's it gone. And so now I will take my signature, my electronic signature I've made, Control and C, and let's pop it in. Let's see where I'm going to put it. So I've got this little, remember, I've got this little cross here as the thing where I move everything, and I'll zoom in, and I shall put it down. I'll shrink it for one thing, and don't want it to be that big. But instead, like I said, instead of putting it at the bottom corner, I will put it in as part of the action. So put it there. I'll have it hug his sleeve there. And let's see if I can get it shown in the center. And here we are. This is a piece I'm going to be called. Oh, I've got a few more of these bits to get rid of. Apologise. So what I was going to do, I had a name for this. Based on the text I got rid of, saying I believe in myself, which is it's obviously this image is meant to be an part of like an aphorism, or an affirmation. Sorry, an aphorism is like a story to make a point. An affirmation, but this is kind of like a dark affirmation. How these things are the power of positive thought people are usually doing this to do something, to make themselves rich and to screw people over, which I think is bad. So I've got I tried to base it on how sometimes these people will think, and they got rich, others didn't, and they don't care about that, or sometimes it's part of the game, and I'll just call it I won. So I'll save that. So Control S, and let's get to my artwork. 2025. I'll call it I won. And there we go, it's saved. So that's that piece made. Let me know what you think of it. I think it's worked quite well. I originally was going to have him in the it still be in the left, and try and have to the right of him some sort of scene of devastation or famine, but I just didn't. I think this one's worked better because I was still going to have like the money raining down, but it would be the money raining down beside him. This way he's a little man having the not that I'm sized to talk. I'm quite short myself, but a tiny-minded man, fat and faceless, having money rained on him amidst the suffering of others. So let me know what you think, whether you like it. Like, share, and subscribe. My description has my merch links from my link tree, and it also has my socials. And I shall speak to you soon. Thank you.